This episode of Midco Sports Magazine is presented by Shields and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Hello and welcome again to Midco Sports Magazine. We've got more than meets the eye in our three stories in this month's episode. We have a college football coach in Bismarck who is already #1 in the nation in one category before the season even starts. And some South Dakota gamers who say this is as athletic as anything you will see in sports. Up first though, a very successful track and cross-country coach who has a very unique way of helping his kids get ready to run. Here is Elena Lanson.
Just go down one more.
Cross-training, a term that describes the workouts athletes do in different sports that in turn help improve their performance in their main role. The thought of off-season cross-training is oftentimes unpleasant, but when high schoolers from Ipswich think about what their summer training schedule holds, and more importantly, who planned it, the thought of off-season is one of excitement.
In 1996, I started the water ski team. I was a track coach at Aberdeen Central, and I talked a bunch of kids into coming out for the summer. And by the end of the summer, we were starting to learn some show skiing stuff, so we went to a show ski tournament. And then the following year, we wanted to put on water ski shows. We were excited about it, and it's just kind of grown ever since. About 7 years ago, we got the opportunity to lease this place out here at the gravel pit. We call it Dommy Lake, and we've been extremely busy putting together one of the nicest sites in the facility and pushing towards weekly water ski shows, and now we're a full-fledged water ski team that's one of the top teams in the country.
The current Ipswich teacher is the head coach for the Tigers cross-country and track and field team, assistant coach for their basketball program, and has led the water ski team to be one of the country's best, while also producing individual USA team members.
I fell in love with the sport. I love it. This will be my second year on the team. We competed back in 2016 for the World Tournament, and we ended up getting gold. He's taught me everything I know since day one.
I really enjoy teaching people and pushing them to learn how good it feels to work hard to achieve. And then in the summers, being a teacher, I have some time to put my whole heart and soul into the water ski team.
We all just know each other really well, we talk well, hang out, and that just makes us better runners too. I mean, if you can train and talk same time while going fast, you can do pretty good.
Along with having the big family feel, there are many fundamental takeaways from their time on the water that can be applied on dry land.
Water skiing, it does take, a certain amount of athleticism, especially if you're going to start water ski jumping or even the ballet line and doing all the different disciplines in water skiing. So like being a teacher and a coach, I recruited a bunch of athletes because I knew that they would learn how to ski quick. We've had a long, rich tradition of having a very successful running program in cross country and track and field. And a lot of those kids spent their summers out training with me, not running, but doing a lot of water skiing.
Their tradition of success can easily be measured. For example, the cross country team currently has their eye on their 9th straight state title. And a lot of this success can be attributed to Coach Thorson's cross-training methods.
Any athlete in any sport, the more core strength they have and the balance they have, the more coordinated they are, the better athlete they're going to be. The same thing goes with water skiing. When you teach somebody how to ski, it's all about good posture, and you have to have good technique. They've got to make sure their arms are straight, the knees are bent, and their body's straight up in a good in a good position for skiing. And that transfers over to running, or especially in track and field, when you've got a pole vaulter, you've got high jumper, long jumper. You've got shot and disc people that are super technical, and they have to be aware of how to control their body at different angles while competing all out. And so there's a lot of transferable skills from one sport to the next. And like Tori Moore is a 4-time state champ in the 2-mile in track and field. And her favorite thing to do to get ready for cross country was to just come out here and ski every single day. And then when she wasn't skiing, she was swimming behind the dock or pulling ropes and being active all summer long, 5, 6, 7 days a week.
We're allowed to do so much, and the possibilities are endless, which allow me to be the best that I can be, which allows me to compete at the levels I do.
For me, it's pretty important. I love being active. It's fun, exciting. We all do it together.
While running is typically an individual sport, Water skiing lends the team a different experience to work together as one, and this quality is easily translated to the starting line when the gun sounds.
He always says like, his main point is like just like being like a family for everything. Like he says that for ski team, cross country, track. He just wants to be like a family and be really close. Cross country, you really get to know like your friends, like you're really super close with them. But the same thing with ski team too.
It's his passion. I've seen his passion for running and skiing, and it's unbelievable. He brings everybody closer out here and just pushes us to be our very best.
Kids in athletics want to be able to trust somebody to push them extremely hard to get to that next level and see what they're made of. I mean, in essence, every time you go out and do a distance race, you're trying to see if you can dig a little deeper, push a little harder, and be a little better than the time you were out there before. And then that transfers to any other sport that you do. And I think that's a quality that people really want. They see our kids striving to get better, and they're achieving at the highest levels, and they want to be a part of that.
And joined now by Elena Lanson. And this is very cool. Coach Thorson, you've heard about team bonding, but he takes it really to the next level with this,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, water skiing, who gets to do that? Who gets those opportunities? Yeah. So he really comes in, recruits those kids, and I mean, it's such a fun summer bonding experience, and I mean, it just only helps that team building.
And it doesn't have anything to do with running, really, does it? But it's still a good exercise.
Yeah, I mean, it cuts out the repetition of the hard pounding on your joints and everything, and I mean, what could be more fun during the summer than being on the lake with your teammates? I mean, I would love to do that. Can he invite us out there?
Yeah,
get a Midco team out there?
That's a workout you would want to go to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, swimming, I know that keeps your body in shape. So the endurance with the breathing and everything, that can only help your running game too.
All right, we wish him well. Thanks a lot, Elena Lanson. Up next on Midco Sports Magazine, the remarkable distinction held by the new football coach at the University of Mary in Bismarck.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Midco Sports Magazine. The University of Mary Marauders have a new logo this year. They also have a new head football coach. And if it seems like he was just there as a player, he was. Here's David Brown.
There always seems to be a number attached. For college football players, it's literally what distinguishes them from one another. But for University of Mary head coach Craig Bagnell, it's what distinguishes him from the rest of his peers.
The age factor wasn't an issue for me because I think that he showed some incredible abilities that you need to get that first start.
At just 28 years old, Craig Bagnell is the youngest head coach in the NCAA.
I don't really care, to be honest. I really don't. It's exciting, I guess, and I'm excited that the career in coaching, I think, is what I really wanted to do, is kind of paying off.
Craig may have an old soul when it comes to discussing his youth, but his hire has brought excitement and energy to campus. It's a commitment to the future with a blast from the past.
When you're coaching at your alma mater, you want to succeed. Failure is not an option. You will do everything you can to make sure your team is successful.
It's a matter of getting this place going, and because this place is so special to me. I got to play here and be a part of it.
From 2010 to 2013, Craig became the Marauders' all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns. It's his ties to the program that made him a natural fit to come back, even though his childhood ties growing up in Northwest Montana were a bit different.
I was a calf roper and a team roper, but mostly calf roping. That's kind of what I grew up doing. And every time I go back for the 4th of July, my dad usually says, all right, we're going to a rodeo. I got you entered up. I'm like, I haven't been on a horse for a year. He's like, it's like riding a bike. You'll be fine.
In the end, rodeo was not as natural a fit as football. Craig has to wrangle a different kind of animal now, but it's one he's been ready to tame since his freshman season in Bismarck.
It's just the feeling and the vibe you get and the environment and the kids and being around a team like this, and you get to help shape so many different people from all kinds of different backgrounds. So it's really about the guys, and that's what I remember the most about my playing days was just the guys and the relationships that you build, and now it's the same thing with coaching. So it seemed like it was exactly what I was meant for and exactly what I wanted to do.
Like any great quarterback, Craig's game plan was established well in advance. He applied for every graduate assistant job he could think of once his playing days were over. Northern Sun Conference rival Bemidji State in Minnesota gave him his chance in 2014 and promoted him to offensive coordinator just 1 year later.
I think I just was able to show them that I had a good knowledge base, and now let's just continue to build and grow and see what we can do.
Now, football may not be an exact science, but Craig turned Bemidji State quarterback Jordan Highland into a clone of himself. In 3 years under Bagnell's tutelage, Highland finished his career as Bemidji State's all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns. Sound familiar?
I was very fortunate. I got to work with a kid that is probably going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks to play in the conference. I truly believe it, just because of what his abilities are and what he could do. Just a lot of fun. Made my job really easy when you can coach a kid like that.
The job may have been easy, but during that period, Craig's alma mater was falling on hard times. 2017 was the University of Mary's third straight season with only one win.
It's a fumble, and it's recovered by Upper Iowa.
It was tough, it's hard to watch and hard to see, but you just keep hoping that things are going to continue to get better for them.
There's a lot of times the game was decided midway through the second quarter, and that's something you just can't expect people to want to come out and see that type of a performance.
University of Mary Athletic Director Dale Lennon saw an opportunity to flip the field. In order to bring the Marauders back, he needed a quarterback to play a different position.
They wanted a change, and the change that we went with, I think, was exactly what they were looking for.
I don't want to say it was like love at first sight, but it was almost like this feels right.
We were excited to have someone that's been part of the UMary family and knew what it was like to be part of a winning team here at Mary.
There always seems to be a number attached. For now, that number is 28 for Craig Bagnell. Soon enough, he hopes his win total will outweigh his age. But until then, he'll need to use the numbers to his advantage. There is no figure that can accurately measure whether he'll be a success or a failure, but at the very least, there's a measure of respect.
The way he carries himself, it's not 27, 28. There's a reason he got this job, and there's a reason he moved up so fast in the system. Monsignor Shea, our president, asked me, do you think we can keep him very long? And I told Monsignor, hopefully we can't. I want to have to replace the coach in 3 years because we are successful.
I know it's not a one-year deal here. I know it's not turn the page and it's going to be all roses and butterflies, but it's going to take some time. But I know that if we get things in the right place, there's no reason we can't do this in a few years and get it rocking and rolling.
And joined now by David Brown, and this is a fresh start for UMary football with Coach Bagnell, and it's good. It's tough for Craig, though, in one way. Being a former star quarterback, there's a little extra pressure on him, isn't there?
You would think so, yeah. a little bit, I think. I mean, the alma mater definitely helps. He's got name recognition. Yes. The hiring was, widespread acclaim when it was first announced. There probably is a little bit of extra pressure because he knows the program, but also he sort of commands that respect immediately, and I think that offsets the fact that he is only 28 years old.
Yeah, and this is the right guy at the right time and the right job. And what about, does he want to stay here for as long as he can, or what's he got for future plans? Do you know?
My personal opinion, I don't think this is his last stop. Now, again, this is just my personal opinion. I don't want UMary fans to worry. His number one goal right now is to turn the program around, whether that takes 3 years or 5 years. But he did admit in the interview with us that he does foresee being a Division I coach. So they mentioned specifically the Pac-12 conference. He's from Northwest Montana. That's kind of right near Pac-12 country. So I don't think this is his last stop, but Marauder fans need not worry. He's going to be there for a little bit so he can turn that program around.
Yeah, going to be fun to see what they can do in the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Brownie. David Brown. Fun with sticks and stones at the Highland Games still coming up. But first, this month's Science of Sports with Matt Cullen.
Sports science is really understanding the physiology and the biomechanics behind athletic performance and health and safety. Matt Cullen has been an NHL player for a number of years, and it's really important for him to take care of his body so he can continue to perform at a high level. And through the years, he's learned what works best for him, so he uses some non-traditional approaches to maintaining his flexibility, mobility, and explosiveness that you don't always see from a lot of hockey athletes. strength and conditioning isn't always just about getting bigger and stronger. It's being able to move better and more efficiently and to be able to recover, and Matt has mastered that skill.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. The Highland Games are a real thing in Europe, but since Sioux Falls is closer than Scotland, some South Dakota locals get together every summer to try their hand at these ancient games. Here's Jay Elson.
The sweet and unmistakable sound of Scotland. It's not exactly native to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In fact, according to the Statistical Atlas, less than 1% of the Queen City's population claims to be of Scottish descent. That hasn't stopped this small collection of South Dakotans from falling in love with one of that country's oldest athletic pastimes.
Some of these type of events date back literally to like the year 1300. Competitions between Scottish clans. Let's throw things and see who can throw it the farthest instead of fighting with swords. A lot less bloody that way. The modern era of it got going in the late 1800s, and there's some competitions that have been ongoing every year for more than 100 years around the world.
Think of heavy or Highland Games as a more primitive, modern-day Olympics, mixed with elements of strongman and CrossFit. The concept is simple. Pick it up and throw it far, or high. Although the sport's most iconic event, the caber toss, also requires accuracy.
As you run with the caber vertically, you have to flip it on its large end and have the small end land away from you, and there's a judge behind you. As you toss it, when you toss it, you're considered to be facing 12 o'clock on a clock face on the ground. So wherever the caber lands relative to 12 o'clock is your score. 12 o'clock perpendicular to chest being a perfect score. It's one of those examples of the athleticism, and you have to be quick, you have to be able to run with it, you have to have good balance, timing to be able to do that well.
Tom Slattery is 53 and more than 3 decades removed from his football and track days at South Dakota State. Like many former athletes, he realized pretty quickly that unlike eligibility, a person's competitive nature doesn't necessarily expire.
After college, there's some opportunity to join track meets as an open competitor. When you get over 40, there's a few masters competitions, but you have to travel a long ways. It's only 1 or 2 events, so it's really short given the amount of travel you have to do. So I didn't do much of any of that in my 20s and 30s. But then later, when my kids got older and kind of looking for something else to do, I discovered this, and it's been a great fit.
Slattery has competed an estimated 45 times over the past 5 years, traveling everywhere from Buffalo to Tucson to Iceland. He's finished in the top 10 in the 50 to 55 age group at the Masters World Championships for 3 years running.
The competition is really with yourself. Nobody takes this, at my level, at least the Masters level, nobody takes it that seriously. It's fun to throw against yourself, try to improve your numbers, or when you get to a certain point and you get older, trying to maintain your numbers.
That's a stark contrast to the mindset of someone like Kyle McKelvey. At 26, this Beersford, South Dakota native is consistently among the youngest competitors. He's also already one of the best. McKelvey was a 3-time state and 2-time national shot put champion in high school before going on to win multiple Summit League titles at the University of South Dakota. He stumbled upon Highland Games through a chance meeting with a 4-time world champion.
He was building the weight room for USD, Dan McKim. He's the one that kind of told me, like, hey, you should give this a look. I Googled if there was a group in Sioux Falls, and luckily Tom answered my message and said, come on up, we'd love to have you. And I think I competed in my first games about a month after that.
In his first season, he set an amateur world record in the open stone and finished the year ranked 7th in North America. That's got him thinking about going pro.
When you go overseas into Europe, that's a big deal to some of those people. So I would absolutely love to be able to be invited to that.
While the majority of competitors are men, girl power is growing. The Sioux Falls group features several women, including Susan Sherman, a mother of 3 that still holds discus records at Howard Wood Dakota Relays and Iowa State. Like McKelvey, Sherman enjoyed instant success. She cracked the top 5% of North American females after just 2 competitions. Needless to say, she's hooked.
I would like to continue doing it as long as my body will let me. Yeah, it's like after that first practice, I was just like jazzed. It was awesome.
One not-so-serious master, a potential pro, and a phenomenal female. Just part of a small, not necessarily Scottish Sioux Falls syndicate that is embracing the non-discriminative spirit of a unique competition.
You could take it seriously if you wanted to, but it's really just a group of people out having fun, doing something that they enjoy.
And now joined by Jay Elson. And all right, this is not just they do it one time in the summer and then that's it. There's competitions going on all the time.
Yeah,
right?
That's the thing. And it's honestly one of the misconceptions, according to Slattery, is that people think that this does just happen once or twice a year. That's not at all the case. In fact, he says in the summer there's anywhere from 6 to 7 of these games going on somewhere around the country. So it's a pretty frequent thing. They compete a lot.
All right, you're a big dude. Do you think you could handle the caber and get one out there maybe?
You know, I would love to give it a shot after watching all this video and just being a part around this story. It looks like a lot of fun. You can see why people who are into some of those feats of strength get kind of hooked on this thing, because it's a way to stay competitive and a way to stay healthy, really.
All right, good story. Thanks a lot. Jay Elson. Thanks for watching. You can find this episode and all episodes of Midco Sports Magazine on YouTube and on Instagram, IGTV.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Shields and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.